Thank you for joining us for Effective Heart Change. The podcast will discuss how to apply faith principles to real-life situations. This is Effective Heart Change.
What's interesting, the solution is back to the cross. The solution is just a simple understanding of, God, this isn't what you have for me. This isn't what my life is supposed to be about. And so you literally stop and you take that abandonment, you take that rejection, you hand it off to God, you meditate on the cross, you meditate on what God has done for you, you meditate on just how far He has gone so that you know that you are absolutely loved, absolutely accepted in Christ. Hopefully, you'll be able to take that and hand it off in a way, phrase that I like to use, and make room for God so that you can actually start to feel and experience the love of God.
Now, when you say hand it off where? Who?
You're handing off to God.
Okay.
You're basically intellectually, if you will, but hopefully more than that, spiritually, accepting the fact that Jesus died for you personally.
He's already done all that you're dealing with.
He's done all the work, and He did that to demonstrate that while we were yet sinners, while we were hostile to God, while we were the one right there spitting on God and declaring Him to be weak and powerless and et cetera, and mocking Him, while all of that behavior was going on, God looked down and said, Father, forgive him, for he doesn't know what he's doing. When I can see what Christ did for me and I can receive that personally, that becomes powerful, and I can just stop and get quiet and start drinking that in. Remember, there's a giving, but there's also a receiving. If a person doesn't choose to receive, nothing happens in this layer. I've had people that I've worked with that I've just showered. I've done everything I know to shower them with love, and I've just poured it out, and we've forgiven, and we've worked with them, and we've given them things for free, and et cetera. And in the end, they simply wouldn't turn that switch on to receive. You can do the same thing with Christ. You can ignore it. You can figure that what He's done is worthless, is meaningless, is whatever. You can literally be in a place where you don't just personally embrace what God has done for you and the fact that He actually loves you, accepts you, and calls you to be His child. That's belonging.
I think that's one of the toughest things in love, is that there's a time that you're the giver, but there's a time that you need to be the receiver. And if you don't receive, I can't give out what I haven't taken in. And the example that Christ gave in His life, in His death, in His resurrection, was that acceptance before there was any position that He had or any connection that He had that we are aware of, at least.
That's the process. I believe it best starts with God, but actually most of the time it doesn't. If I haven't experienced it at a human level, people who have never experienced that at a human level, a lot of times find it hard to experience it at the God level. It's amazing how interactive it is. Now, you can start purely at the God level. I'm not taking that out. But it's so important for people to demonstrate that love for one another in a way that makes it more credible. It makes it easier for a person to go, wow, why is that person loving me that way? They're loving me when I shouldn't be loved. And hopefully the answer is because that person has actively received love from God. Sometimes they haven't. They've received it from parents, grandparents, different places. They don't know where they've received it from.
And they don't know where it came from.
So they give no credit to God. And so at that point, well, wow, that's a really good person. Well, that's kind of missing the mark. It actually, every good and perfect gift, James chapter 1, comes down from the Father, comes down from God. So now I've got a person who's stealing the glory of God, saying, well, yeah, I'm pretty tough stuff. I really do love you, and you need to come to me as your source. How about if we have a better source? And that is the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the God of the universe.
Video production, editing, and audio by Matthew. Set design and setup by Ashley. Content recorded live at Studio 104.